Jacob T. Davis here, Woodbridge Real Estate with.
Jared Evenson over here, Cross Country Mortgage. It is so good to be with you here again, Jacob. Looks like you've been out working or something.
Yeah, man, I got a new listing coming up and I just wanted to help seller get some things dialed in on the yard. And so it's looking pretty good. I bought a brush hog. I think you call it a DR brush hog. And that thing is amazing. You can do some damage with that. So, anyways,
For
yeah, I got a new list.
$19.95, click on the link below for the brush hog.
Well, so I bought it from Pullman Building Supply, and I got a pretty good deal on it. So I had to take advantage. Um, if you're looking for some good equipment, I would check out Pullman Building Supply right now. Um, so that's what I got going on this Friday. How about yourself?
Just slinging loans over here, man, getting things done. It's the end of the month. It's weird. Our end of the month starts at the middle of the month. It feels like so. Getting ready for the weekend. Went on a boat cruise in Coeur d'Alene yesterday with a insurance company. That was fun. No one fell in. That's a win. But all right, we got to talk about something though. We got to talk about August 17th. We got to talk about buyers, brokers, sales. What are they called?
BBSA'S, the buyer broker services agreement.
Yeah, man, the talk of the town in our line of work.
We got
Hey,
BBSA'S and we got BBCA's and we got all kinds of new forms. Yes, I heard all about it yesterday at my sales meeting. And so, what do you want to know?
well, first off, what'd your team think? How are they feeling?
I mean, it's just kind of a new process that we are having to implement. I think, with our buyers, it's the law that you have to get a buyer agency sign or the BBSA before you show homes. And so in the past, you would get a lead from Zillow or Realtor.com and you would show them, I would show people 30 homes and never have any kind of a buyer agency sign. It was just kind of a lot of agents were like that, and so ever since the lawsuit happened with the realtors, now agents are going to have to get a BBSA, a buyer brokerage agency or services agents, buyer.
The thing.
We'll just call it BBSA.
Yeah.
I'm already getting confused. Uh, and so, I mean, you really, as an agent, you have to get a BBSA, especially in the state of Washington, but really nationally, you got to get a BBSA sign before you ever let a buyer enter into look at a home. And so that's been an interesting conversation because a lot of buyers just want to go look at homes, and it's like, hey, buyer, I can't show you a home unless you sign a BBSA with me. And
Which is
so,
a contract, basically.
it doesn't really mean anything. It just says, hey, if you buy this house, you have to buy it with me. You have to use me as your agent if you're gonna buy this home.
Uh-huh.
And so, with a BBSA, it can be, the default is 60-day period. I think for the most I'll probably make them longer because typically from the time you start you sign a BBSA, and by the time a buyer makes a decision on buying, you're going to be past 60 days. I mean, it takes a lot of buyers, it takes a year or longer to make a decision on buying. And so I'll probably sign at least 180-day BBSAs. um, and most likely I will make my buyer agency non-exclusive. And so if a buyer feels uncomfortable, with committing to me, it's like, well, hey, Understand that, but you still have to sign a BBSA. It can be non-exclusive, or if you really like me, if you're done dating and you want to, or if you really want to commit, then you can sign an exclusive agency.
Put a ring on
But
it.
yeah, but the I think the buyers that will commit and sign a exclusive agency agreement will probably get preferential treatment from compared to non-exclusive buyer agencies that I get signed. So, so that's kind of where I'm going. Is if you want to look at a home, you got to sign a buyer a BBSA no matter what. You can sign a non-exclusive. You know, if you're not quite ready to commit to me, but I have to do it. My designated broker uh, is requires it, and the state is requiring it, and it's just the law. So that's kind of where we're at.
So on the non-exclusive, like the difference between the exclusive and non-exclusive probably means like, okay, if I show you this house, you've got to use me. But if somebody else shows you a different house, it's all good if you use them, type of thing. Is that kind of the difference?
Yeah, and this is still kind of new to me. And the more I think about it, like even though I just said I will probably let
Allow
people sign a non-exclusive, I'm kind of like, why would I do that? It's like I'm taking 3 hours out of my day to show you these homes. If I'm going to do this, I think it's going to be like, all right, I'll show you 4 homes, or maybe I'll show you for 2 days of showings. If you don't like me after those 2 days, then we can either go our separate ways, but I think at some point I'm going to have to get a buyer to commit, because otherwise it's just, man, it takes a ton of time to show people these homes.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. It's a weird position to be in. Like we don't my line of work. We don't have to drive around and spend days and days with people showing houses, or I should say, we don't get to. But I do have occasions where a client will leave me. We've had them pre-qualified for months and worked on lots of things for them, and then they leave to go save $35 in closing costs, somewhere else after all that time you spent. Which, whatever, it happens. But for you guys, it's a lot more because you got money invested into it too, with time. Well, time is money. But it's pretty crazy. So why wouldn't a client, like, what's the objection to people wanting to sign the? What makes them nervous about it? Is it do they have to commit to paying you a certain amount or making sure you get paid? What's the deal there?
No, I mean, the only thing they're committing to is if they buy a house, that they'll use me as their agent. I've got 14 years of experience, and I've did real estate investing prior to that. So I have a ton of experience. So so the only thing they're committing to when they sign a BBSA is that they'll use me as their agent. It's not like it costs them anything. It's not like um, it doesn't really it will lock them into. So if they do decide they want to buy a house, they will have to pay potentially a commission if seller is not offering a commission, and that's kind of where you know. So now, when a seller is going to list their home, if I'm meeting with a seller and seller asks me, "Hey, what's your fees?" So now in the past it was like, well, 5 or 6% is kind of what we charge. Now I can't really say that. I can say, well, my listing fee is this. Buyer, if you want to offer a buyer agent commission, it's you know that's
Anywhere from
I
here to
can't
here.
really I can't steer them into anything, right? Like that's where this whole lawsuit thing came from. So what I can tell them is, typically, um, I mean, most home I don't know what I could say, to be honest, like, but most likely most buyers are going to come from a different agent. They're not going to come through me typically. So I mean, you still kind of got to say, hey, I think you got to offer a commission, whether you want to or not. Most likely that's how you're going to sell your house.
I think
And
a safe place to be would be like, or would be to say, you know, great question. Yeah, what should we offer the buyer's agent side? And you know, home buyers are going to be, have to make sure that their agent gets paid. Most home buyers, I don't want to say most, a lot of home buyers don't have the extra cash after paying their down payment, closing costs, whatever, to pay an agent out of their pocket. It's not something people have been accustomed to doing. It's not. So if they have that added expense, they may be less inclined to put an offer on your house. So, who do you want coming through the door? How big of a buyer pool, do you want? I don't know. It's a weird place to be in, and I'm glad I don't deal with that on my side. Where I'm going to feel it as a lender is, if a buyer goes to buy a house and they just barely have enough for their down payment, and we get closing costs somehow, either their money or from the seller in the offer, and they don't have the 3% or 2.5%, whatever it is, to pay their agent. What do? We get stuck, and so that's where it can get tricky. There's ways, that can be negotiated into the contract, and in one sense, it always has. It just didn't feel that way, I guess, because it was pretty, you know, automatic. You were used to the seller paying the buyer's agent commission, and it was already written in their listing agreement or what have you. Now it's like there's some unknowns of is this offer out there on this house or not, and that could create home affordability issues if someone can't pay that on their own, then and they don't get to buy a house if
yeah, I don't think things will change too much overall. I mean, right now with my listings, when an agent wants to show it, they ask me first, "Is there a commission offered?" And so I tell them what the commission is that's offered. We have to publish, so we have to, whether that's texting it, we have to let agent know that what the commission is offered by seller. So really, I don't think things are gonna change too much overall. There's just a ton of confusion right now, and it's just sort of my job to try to explain things like, okay, the media, they say this, but in reality, this is what I'm seeing.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
the media, you know, they're just selling advertising. So they'll make up as much, ridiculous information they can possible to get you to click on you know, their their content. So
mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. And yeah, the vibe you get from the media is sellers don't pay buyer's agent commission anymore. That's all they say. They don't say, well, hold up a minute now. It's not quite how it is. It's just it can't be advertised. It can't be put on the MLS, if you will. That's the big change, right? It basically is an added step to figure out what it is, and then there's the side of the buyers. Which Washington, you guys have been having people sign the buyer BBSA for since last year or since the beginning of the year, haven't you?
yeah, I mean, we've been trying to we've been working through this for a while, but now it's like, okay, we really need to do it now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, or like, there's just too much liability anymore. So yeah, that's kind of where that's where we're at when it comes to BBSA's and buyers and sellers. It's a kind of a new world, but really, I don't think it's gonna
Dude,
change a whole lot.
oh, here's one to talk about. Same subject. So to go show a house now, to go to an open house, just so the consumers of the world know, my understanding is to attend an open house, you do not have to sign a BBSA. So Is that correct as far as your knowledge goes?
Yeah, I think that is correct. You don't have to, because I'm the listing agent. If I'm at that open house, I can be there and let someone come in.
Hmm.
I think if they were there with their buyer agent,
Hmm.
that might be different, So they might still need to have but they should have a BBSA with that buyer agent. But if
Yeah,
they're coming, because I'm the listing agent, I'm not representing them, so I can be there, throwing a party, trying to sell a house. You know what I mean?
open to the public. Yeah, I saw a case in California where it was an open house and the agent was making everyone sign a BBSA as they walked the house, and many people turned around and left. I'm like, whoa, for an open house, you're good. If an agent tries to make you sign one at an open house, now your buyer's agent, that's one thing, but you should already have that in place, right? But anyhow, it was very, very, interesting how people had that confused and had no idea. Like, do I need a sign? Like, what do we do? So you're safe on open houses. So go to all the open houses you want.
Yeah, I mean, really, like we just got to communicate what's going on, and my process on how to do this will change here and there a little bit. But I think it's gonna be like, hey, all right, let's go look at some homes. You got to sign a non-exclusive agency agreement for now, but I'm only going to show you a certain amount of homes, and at some point you got to commit to me, and then we'll do exclusive. Otherwise, I'm just we're
Waste money.
we're wasting each other's time.
Yeah.
um, so that's just, I think, how most agents are going to handle it. It's like, hey, okay, I know you don't know me, but let's figure out if we like each other. Let's look at a few homes, and then I'm going to ask you for the agreement for the exclusive contract.
Yeah, I'm telling you though, that side of things I think is a good thing. Uh, from things I've seen happen over the years, I think that's that's a beautiful thing to have in place to protect the agents and their time. That's you got to have a little bit of that in there. So
Well, I mean, we want buyers to feel comfortable too. I would not want a buyer to sign an agreement that, and then they're like, "Yeah, we don't really like you," or we just don't connect,
right.
And so it's like, okay, and that's why I think you gotta kind of do the non-exclusive for a little bit, and then at some point it's like, all right, guys. I mean, are you ready to, you know, go to the next level
Uh huh.
with Jacob T?
Yeah, I love your. It's time to quit dating and get a little commitment going on here. So, oh, that's good. I think that helps clarify it. I mean, I feel good about it. I'm gonna have people ask me about it, and I want to be able to speak semi intelligently, uh, which is hard for me to do in general. So nice. What else is out there? Anything else good going on, or should we head to the weekend?
So I finally renewed my football season ticket, so I'm pretty excited about that. I was gonna say, went to a restaurant in Colfax. New restaurant opened up in Colfax. Pretty good. Last night so my kids go to school in Colfax, and we were getting ready for school. They had the, like, the meet the teacher thing. So
Yeah.
we went to that yesterday, and then in the past we would have to drive we'd either have to go to Subway because it was 8:30 at night, so we'd have to go to Subway or drive all the way back to Pullman to get something to eat. But this place uh, was open. It's the old C First building in Colfax. Um, and we went there, and it was awesome. Like, they had drinks, and so I had a
Do they have a name?
beverage, and then had a burger. It was pretty great.
Do they have a name?
I'm like, uh, I gotta let me Google it. It's it's like something Ember, Wild
Wild
Ember
Ember. Wild Ember. Yeah, Wild
Kitchen.
Ember Kitchen open in
Yeah, it was
Colfax.
awesome. It was
Awesome.
like
Oh, they've been open
um,
for not even a week.
kind of like South Fork ish in Pullman, kind of like that, but in Colfax. And it's
Uh-huh.
like Colfax hasn't had a good restaurant in ever, maybe. I don't know. Like
What is it? Eddie's? Come on.
Eddie's, yeah. I mean, like, uh, they haven't had a new, like, kind of full on restaurant.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, no, I'm picking up what you put down. Yeah, like you.
since I was in high school. So anyways, I thought it was great. It's awesome.
Sweet. That's good to know. Support those
and
small town restaurants, man.
and what's so cool about it, so the Downtown Association in Colfax, they got a grant to renovate this building. Otherwise, I don't think there's any way that a restaurant could have spent all that money to renovate that building.
Yeah.
And so pretty cool. And so the owner was there, talked to him, and young guy, and pretty motivated to make it a success. So I thought it was great, and I think they're doing really well. So if you're driving through Colfax on your way to a Coug game, you gotta check out Wild Ember.
Nice, dude. That's cool. I want to. What did you have?
I just had a burger
Yeah, it's good. All right. Nice.
and a lot of drinks. I'm just joking. I just had one.
Yeah, good. That's fine. That's plenty. Nice. Oh, good. That's cool to hear. Keep on growing, Colfax. I tell you. Uh,
Yeah, I think Whitman County's kind of there's some good mojo going on. Pullman's redoing the downtown, so that's I think once the downtown is finished,
New life.
if that ever happens, that will help with Pullman. It Pullman's had some businesses get closed recently, so that's kind of tough.
Theater. The theater.
Theater closed. Pullman Building Supplies closing in November. The downtown projects put some businesses out downtown. Um, so Pullman's got I live in Pullman. My kids go to school in Colfax, but Pullman needs some help. Like, I mean, some of the smaller towns, there's some good energy going on to get things going on in the smaller towns. Pullman needs some more business. I mean, needs grants, needs people to come to the games. Pullman
Well,
needs
yeah, they
a
need
lot of
people to
support, like for
support it.
football this year. So, we really need like people to go to the games this year for football, for basketball, because ever since the whole Pac 2 debacle, I mean, Pullman feels like it's struggling. I'm just gonna say it like it does, and so hopefully we get a lot of Cougs come into town and support the Cougs because we kind of need it over here.
Yeah. Well, uh, the economy. Let's talk. What time? Yeah, we got time. The economy is a big factor, right? People aren't spending money, so uh, I think the Fed this morning came out and said, okay, it's time for the rate cut. You'll see it September 18th. He's committing to doing a rate cut to start there. And that's a sign that inflation has cooled off. It doesn't mean we're deflating. It means we've cooled off, which hopefully means people will have the extra money to go start spending money at these places again. The putt putt, the virtual golf, the Pullman building, home projects. In some cases, it feels like it's too late because we're seeing these places close, but which sucks because once they close, it's really hard to reopen something in that spot. So
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a hardware store in Pullman now. We got to go to Moscow for,
oh
so it's like that just sucks. Like, if I want to work on a project, I got to go to Moscow. I mean, it's going to take at least an hour longer to go to Moscow for supplies.
yeah, I didn't realize that because there used to be like an Ace Hardware. When did that close? Probably when MBS opened. Or
They kind of closed. I mean, because you had Walmart come in,
yeah,
PBS open.
it's probably
So they closed about 3 years ago. It would be awesome to get an Ace back open in Pullman.
I love me some Ace. They're independently owned typically. They're great, but yeah, that's brutal. But hope yeah, that will hopefully help people be able to afford spending more money at these places, so more places can open up and thrive. Because when the small businesses are thriving, man, that's where the growth comes, which the good growth, you know. So fingers
Yeah.
crossed. I think we'll
Well,
be
Pullman will be fine. It would just be awesome to get tons of fans come to the games. I'm worried that because we're not in the Pac-12, we're going to have less people show up to the games. Um,
I think
so
if we're winning, we're gonna put butts in the seats. You know, none of those boys can win. You go start 3-0. It's gonna be hard to not want to go to a game. 4-0.
yeah, I really hope so. I hope so. I just know, I've been a season ticket holder for a lot of years, and I mean, during COVID, which I think that's kind of a whole different thing. But there's the one year nobody came, right? Because they couldn't, and then it was just like it felt like last year. I don't even think people had really fully came back yet. I mean, I think
Yeah,
last year they did, but the previous year or two was pretty
it's so weird.
slow.
Yeah, you know, uh, you know what I'm most looking forward to though is not having to hear that damn USC band. It's the most annoying.
Yeah.
Get them out of here. Sweet, good. And we got 8 days. 8 days kickoff, right? 20 or the 31st first game.
Yeah. Yeah, we're playing who's it? Portland
Portland
State?
State.
Dude, we played Portland State. I mean, it was probably 10 years ago. And I remember they came in and upset us. It was like just pouring down rain. It was the first game of the year, so you can't look past Portland State.
Yeah, we
That was terrible. That was like probably the worst game I ever went to uh, as a Coug fan.
that because yeah, that started a thing. Because then didn't we lose the Eastern?
Yeah, I think Eastern came in the next year, and I think this was like in the Leach
Yeah, it was
era,
the Leach
you
year.
know.
Yep.
And we were good, but for whatever reason, that first game we just couldn't show up.
Oh man.
So,
Well,
anyways,
we're
but
battling now.
I think we'll be pretty good. I think we'll be pretty tough. So undefeated.
Let's go. All
And
right.
let's go.
Gotta fill the seat.
So, well, cool. Well, that's about all I got for today.
Cool.
I'm looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah. You gonna do anything?
I'm probably gonna work
Good.
because I gotta
Show houses.
I gotta sell some houses, man.
Yeah.
We gotta work. Feels about like 3 times harder than before now. So
Just sell half amount of houses.
pretty much, yeah.
Good. All right, brother. Good. We'll
All
enjoy
right,
your
man.
weekend. We'll catch you next week.
Take it easy.
Peace.
Later.